I am here to tell you that I am not interested in protecting anything that we've ever said within the Ask You Answer, because that's not gonna get us to the next place we need to be. We've got to be willing to pivot quickly in today's market, very, very quickly, and AI is going to escalate that even further. We have to be recommended by 2 entities. If you could get those first 2 to recommend you, you could have a very, very solid business. Has anybody here asked yourself, why did he change the name of the book? You're like, I like the name. It's catchy. It's branded. I want to share a really quick backstory. I learned something. This affects all you marketers in the room, because you're saying to yourself, why did you change the name of the book? We love to ask your answer. So do I. But a great book, ideally, and there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but a great book, and this applies also to other things like, let's say, a webinar or just really any type of event or information. Ideally, you should be able to pass the I want or I wish test when saying a book's title. So for example, I wish I could win friends and influence people. I want to have atomic habits. I want to have a 4-hour work week. But have you ever said, if you didn't know what they ask you answer was, have you ever said, I wish they ask you answer? Have you ever said that? You haven't said that, because nobody says that until they either hear me speak or they hear about the book from a friend. So They Ask You Answer did very well as a book from referrals and from speaking events. It did not do well for people that walked by it on a shelf. They didn't buy it because you couldn't tell what the payoff was. And the great mistake that a lot of people make with books is they will call it the method of the thing. In this case, They Ask You Answer, exactly what I did, and they don't give it the payoff. Think about that when you are titling your stuff in the future. It actually matters a lot. So why now? Well, I think we have probably a pretty good sense as to why now. Because this date changed everybody's life. And if you don't know that it changed your life yet, you will know that eventually. When ChatGPT came out in November 2022, in the next couple of months, I was inundated with messages from some of you in this room saying, well, where does that leave They Ask You Answer? What's this mean for addressing content online? Are websites even going to matter in the future? All these things. Now, what's interesting is oftentimes when someone has what you might call IP, what they do, and I'm seeing this a lot these days, is they try to protect the thing that has gotten them to that point. I am here to tell you that I am not interested in protecting anything that we've ever said within They Ask You Answer, because that's not gonna get us to the next place we need to be. And we've got to be willing to pivot quickly in today's market, very, very quickly, and AI is going to escalate that even further. For 20 plus years, our obsession was on 2 entities, better stated. We had to be recommended by 2 entities. Our customers needed to recommend us, and Google, search engines, they needed to recommend us. If you could get those for 20 plus years, if you could get those first 2 to recommend you, you could have a very, very solid business. In fact, if you just had enough money and you could throw out paid, you'd be fine. But then suddenly, chat comes out, GPT, in 2022, and now all of a sudden, we have this new entity that is affecting and will deeply affect our lives. At first, it was just a little creation tool. It was this nice, oh look, it wrote a poem so much better than I could have done. Isn't this cool? Most of you, when you started with ChatGPT, were not using it to research companies, were you? Not at first. But are you today? Oh yes, you are. You see, it went from creation to recommendation. For all of us in this room, our future, in so many ways, yours and mine as a business, is going to be contingent on one core principle. Does AI recommend you? And the thing about it is, we can't get there to that point nearly as easily as we've always done. I want you to tell me something. Let's look at this from a user experience perspective. Just the other day, I said, I want to run a test. I'm curious to see something. As a pool guy, I went to Google and I typed in, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? So I went to Google for this. The first thing I saw was this right here. Now I typed in, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? Now all of these popular products, they're what? Those are ads. Those are sponsors. And so the first thing I see is a bunch of ads, some of which literally have nothing to do with what I was looking for in the first place. Which, by the way, did I say I wanted to buy a fiberglass pool? What did I say? I wanted to know how much the dang thing was. What's your name? Adam. Yes, Adam. Now, is that so far a good user experience if you want to know how much a fiberglass pool is? It's no, because you had a question. You didn't say, I want to buy a fiberglass pool. Your question was, how much does it cost? There's a difference between the two. And see, we have to understand that difference. That's the nuance of psychology and of great marketing. And so I look at that, I'm like, that's not great. And then I start to scroll down and I said, oh, people also ask. Because you haven't answered my first question, so show me some other questions that I also might consider. And then I start to see what is the traditional organic search results. You know, there was a time, right, when first ranking on SERPs, search engine results pages, got to click what percentage of the time, do you remember? The highest point was 80+%. If you are ranked number 1 today, you are not even close to 50%. In fact, today, oftentimes, you will find yourself in that range of 10 to 20% of the clicks, even though you're first in SERPs. And that's because Google is trying to hold on to a business model that represents the last 25 years of our lives, doesn't it? Oh, but wait, there's more. Because we all suddenly love Reddit and want to see Reddit all over the place. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big Reddit fan. Now, I know some of you are. And I won't judge. But now we have this in our search results too. Because of course we need to see more stuff. And then they show us other organic search results after that. So I said to myself, this is the future? No, how is that the future? What is the future? The other option that I had was I could just go to, in this case, ChatGPT, and I could say, how much does a fiberglass pool cost in 2025? And immediately I get answers. And yes, I see the companies that they sourced it from, but immediately I get answers. Now you tell me, what is the future? Choice 1 that I showed you or choice 2? It's not even close. And every SEO company that is currently lying to you and saying that Google is going to be just fine is not being intellectually honest. And so this creates a challenge for all of us in the room. It's wild though, if you understand how history works, because history constantly repeats itself. Was Google the lead dog always? Yes or no? No, it wasn't always that we were going here. Because before we went here, the leader before Google was Yahoo. Now, here's what's so wild about Yahoo. Yahoo had an issue. 20 years ago, they made a mistake. They said, we can just show a little search box and give them what they want, which is to search. Or we can show them a search box and we can show them ads. We can show them news. We can show them the weather. It was a multi-billion-dollar design UX disaster, and this is Yahoo's screenshot from this morning. You want to talk about slow learners? By the way, raise your hand if you use Yahoo all the time. That's okay, because I know when we communicate, I can expect a fax from you, and that's cool. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Give our 2 people that raise their hand a round of applause for being brave. What's my point? My point in saying is, that's a distraction. Is that a good UX? No. So learn to see the world and understand why these things are happening. It's so obvious that this is wrong. And what's wild to me is it's always the leaders of the previous generation in business are the slowest to evolve with the market. And just as Yahoo refused to simplify so as to create a better UX, and Google said, we will give them one little box, and that's it. Today, Google is doing the exact same thing. And the reason why they're doing it is because they're protecting a previous business model. Those of us that protect our previous business models, I know this, we will get left behind if we refuse to give the market what it wants. This is a lesson for all of us, and it's so powerful. And again, all we're doing is setting conditions. We have to be honest. If we're not honest, we're not prepared. And I'm hoping that your leadership teams are having these conversations, because if we came here and all I did was just, like sprinkle sparkles and rainbows all over the room, we might feel good, but we wouldn't grow and we wouldn't be prepared for what's next.